Welcome to the Fanatical Elfz Show, part of the Elfz Network. We are a bunch of wild and crazy Cleveland Browns fans, bringing you all the latest in Browns news. Tune in now. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Fanatical Elfz Show. It is a Thursday night, and we are here, a bunch of wild and crazy Browns fans. Welcome, Steve. Welcome, Jarrell. Welcome, Sam. Welcome, Lou. How is everybody on this Thursday, a week from the NFL draft? Yes, I like the. I got to point out a lot of folks that are listening, tuning in here on YouTube, on the X. We got guys wearing our gears here. Steve's wearing his Fanatical Elfz, sporting his golf tee there. Jarrell is sporting his hat and gear for the dog food store. We're also giving away one of those hats here after the break. I know some of you have been following us here on the Fanatical Elfz and reposting. Thank you so much. Hey guys, we climbed over the 2,000 followers mark for our X page, which is fantastic. Just in over a year. Thank you so much to all of you Brownie fans and those of you who support us here at part of Fans First and the Fanatical Elfz. Sam is wearing his cowboy hat because, of course,
I've got a lot of Texas teams. If you look here, that's the Rangers.
Who won the Super? Oh no, they won the World Series, right?
Yeah, make sure you remember that World Series champions, and then wearing a Mavericks shirt. So not really repping the Browns. I could put something. I could throw.
We know it's in your heart and spirit. We know that, Sam, because you're bringing the Browns breakdowns every week. It's great. You had a great show the other day. Well, it was a brief show, you said, and you were coming off of some sickness. So we're just glad that you're back
again,
back in the saddle. And then we got Lou Marconi, who's bringing it every day with his Burning River Browns talk, where the river burns or bleeds orange and brown.
When the river burns, it burns orange and brown and orange.
So glad to have you here. I know you're keeping busy every day, and then you've got your big show tomorrow night. You got your Friday night edition with your co-host.
Yes.
What are you guys going to be talking about tomorrow?
Well, we're bringing on Roger from the Dog Chug.
Ooh.
So we're going to be talking some pre-draft stuff, OTA. I don't know if these were OTAs or what were these called this week. Just like, OTAs. You want to call it that. And Andrey Berry had a press conference today.
Yep.
Stefanski did. Yeah, we could talk about that.
We're going to start with that, Lou.
Okay.
Let's talk about
Andrew. To listen to it.
Andrew, yeah. Well, let's start with you, Lou. How with Andrey Berry? We'll just go around. I know Steve, you listened to it a little bit, and I don't know if Jarrell caught any of it. Mm-hmm. I caught bits of it, but what were your thoughts, points that you took away from it?
He said Nick Chubb would be running on land as opposed to air or water. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what he meant by that.
He can walk on water.
Yeah, he can walk on water as far as we're concerned. Yeah. But no, I think he's going to be running. So it sounds positive, but they don't want to say, oh, he'll be back by this time because they don't want to be held to any timeline yet, even with Watson too. And there's no reason to right now. I mean, we've got plenty of time, but he's throwing 40 yards, and it sounds to me like he's able to throw. So and Chubb's able to run. These are good steps. So everything else, he's not gonna show his hand. He's not gonna say too much. So. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's kind of that's just my feeling on it. Okay. Yeah, hey Sherry, happy Thursday.
Oh yeah, let's get that up there. Steve, we'll come back to you, Lou, in a little bit.
Oh, no worries, go ahead. Yeah.
I just want to get everybody's take on so Steve, you saw it too. What were your thoughts coming away from what you heard today?
There we go. Well, of course, Watson and Chubb are where they're supposed to be. Duh. That's the company line. I get the impression that if the right player is at 54, he's not going to trade down like he has in past years. He mentioned quite a bit about players taken in this year's draft that will be future starters. development. He mentioned DeJuan Jones, how he came in and played well, even though they weren't expecting him to play this past year. So I have a feeling he's going to hold that pick. Now, pick 85, I could see him moving like Jarrell and I were talking before the show. For some reason, I can't see Andrew Berry sitting there at pick 85 and waiting till pick 156.
Right.
It's not his style. So,
right.
And he's got 2 7th-round picks, and he never uses them. So,
Jarrell, did you hear the comment? Jarrell, I just wanted your take too, but I heard something about he talked a little bit about Greg Newsome, because some people have been talking about getting rid of Greg Newsome. Jarrell, what are your thoughts on Greg Newsome and what Andrew said? If you heard that part.
Well, I haven't had a chance to watch Barry's press conference yet, but I did see where Denzel Ward is campaigning to keep him. And I think that's great that the players understand, hey, we're better as a collective. I think if you got 3 top tier corners that can literally go man, that's an advantage. That, I mean, you just can't let that walk away thinking that, like the Titans tried to flip AJ Brown and thought it was that easy. It is not that easy to try to draft production. So I don't think they should be trying to move them for anything. If anything, they need to be trying to work with them to keep that core together.
Yeah, and that's kind of, I think, what Andrew kind of talked about. Sam, did you watch the interview? Or did you catch any of it?
No, I think I must have missed that one. I pay attention a little bit, but I must have missed that one.
No, I think getting like, I guess with the Greg Newsome thing, where I feel, and you got Lou or Steve or Jarrell, I guess, or any of you, like, I think Jarrell, I think it's really what he talked about. And I don't know, like with me, like, I've been campaigning to get rid of Greg Newsome. I don't know if it's just because of he seemed overly cocky, or he got burned a few times where I thought he did, at least last season. So I'm quick to pull the trigger because I'm a Browns fan. So and I'm a crazy Browns fan. So I don't make rational decisions or thoughts here. So, Lou,
are you talking about the Texans playoff game? Where he got
not
burned?
Necessarily. It's been other times where I've just like
that was more Hickman. That was more Ronnie Hickman.
Yeah,
that was more.
Hickman got abused in that game.
What did he say? What did he say?
I said Hickman got used and abused in that game.
Yeah, that was more Hickman than it was Newsome. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But anyway, but go ahead. I was just making the point.
No, so let me ask you this, because I didn't catch any of Kevin Stefanski's conversation. Did he talk today?
That was
he talked the other day.
Yeah, he talked the other day. Okay.
Monday, I think.
Yeah, we talked for like 15 minutes and said absolutely nothing.
So with the draft picks, and we're going to talk about the draft picks here. I'm going to have the guys at the end of the show go around and give me who they're thinking of that the Browns might take at 54 and maybe 85. I know there's been many of us who have written about it. One of the guys, we can talk about it later too, but Michael Hall, I think some of us have talked about him from Ohio State. It's funny, I've been running, we can talk more about this after the break, but running some of these mock draft simulations and stuff. On the simulations I've been looking at, like Michael Hall's been dropping or not. He's not very highly rated, and some of us are wanting to take him at 54 or 85, and I even saw him last night rated as like 119 or something on somebody's mock draft simulator. I didn't know if you guys felt that was accurate. I guess I'm intrigued by Michael Hall, but just too because we talked about DeJuan Jones, we talked about Ronnie Hickman just now. Here are 2 Ohio State Buckeyes, and I think they've worked out pretty well in Cleveland so far. Let's go back down I-71 and go grab another couple Buckeyes. What do you guys think about them?
Wouldn't complain.
Well, if I'm all for the Browns taking an offensive tackle at 54. I know they signed a guy today. Yeah. Jermaine Adifi.
Yeah.
And he played a lot of snaps at right tackle and some snaps at right guard. But I still think you got to draft Jedrick Wills' replacement for next year. They haven't you haven't heard no contract talk with him whatsoever. So I'm assuming that's what they're going to do. But the one player that I would take who wasn't an offensive tackle would be Michael Hall at 54 if he fell that far.
You think he's going to fall? See, that's the thing. It's like
I don't think he's going to fall that far.
Okay.
I mean, he had a great Senior Bowl. I mean, my God, he was phenomenal, and he had a great combine. So I think it's most teams are undervaluing him so they can snatch him up.
Okay, undervalued. Okay, I got you.
Between now and next Thursday, it's Liars Week. So
a lot of smoke.
So I heard today they were talking about just the draft in general. The first few picks. I heard tonight just on ESPN a little bit ago that the New England Patriots are basically taking phone calls for their number 3 pick, that they want to get a quarterback, but they're willing to listen. And do they take Daniels from LSU? Anybody? What do you think? Jarrell? Sam?
I wouldn't.
No,
you wouldn't. You don't like
I think the best quarterback in this draft is Penix.
Really?
Yeah, I saw him when he played in Indiana. I watched a couple games when he was at Washington. The guy he's a playmaker. I mean, I don't know why he's not getting the hype he's supposed to.
It's because he's older. He's old for a draftee. I think that's
how old is he? Like
the guy wins.
How old is he?
He's definitely he's like 3 years older than most people that come out of the college.
Yeah, so it's about 25, right?
So that is something. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, so like 15 years, you're only getting maybe 12.
Yeah.
We've talked about this topic.
He's not Derek Anderson old. I mean, come on.
Or no, Brandon Whedon old.
Brandon Whedon.
The man who got caught under the flag. My God, we'll never forget that.
His first game.
2 years.
Yeah, he was well, isn't that because a lot of it has to do with the COVID and the NIL and all that stuff?
Yes, they got to take that into consideration for these draft picks, because a lot of these guys hung around because of the COVID years.
That's what I wanted to get into, because that is something we've talked about since last year. And again, we're talking about it this year because it really is something where these players are older. They don't they're not exactly what, the Browns or other teams have tried to use as far as their, what would we call them? Their
age guardrails.
Yeah, they're guardrails. Right. Okay. So that's, there are several guys probably that are in that age group. Now, Lou, I have a question. Like, you mentioned this on your show the other morning, and I don't know, Steve, I didn't catch yours or whatnot, but one thing that Lou mentioned was he's heard, and maybe you all guys have talked about this too, but it's that after you get by the first 100 players,
100, 150, it's crap.
There's nothing. And so you might as well just wait and sign these guys as free agents if they don't get drafted, because those picks are going to be just as good as if you drafted somebody in the
the talent level is pretty much the same. I wouldn't be surprised if they traded up to get 2 third-round picks, to get at least 3 top 100 picks. I wouldn't surprise me using those 7th-round picks or whatever. And plus, we have 9 picks next year. I don't know if people know that we have 9 draft.
Yeah, we got a ton of picks next year.
Yeah, so we have some currency to move up and to get at least 3 top 100, maybe 4 top 150 picks. That would be ideal for them. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's great. No, that's what I think. It's such a luxury though, right, guys? It's because here we are. We're a week away from the draft, and all of us have experienced this, maybe other than Sam, but over the years, this draft has always been monumental to Browns fans. And that sort of feeling and vibe has really shifted, especially now. And it's a kind of a strange place for us Browns fans, because I'm looking forward to the draft, but I also know it's like, okay, we want to pick up some good players, but we all know here that we have a pretty talented, deep roster that can win a lot of games. I think, Lou, you even mentioned on your show this morning, interesting, Vegas, you said somebody's got us at 8.5 wins. Let's talk about that for a minute, around the room.
Yeah, I did a show on that too.
Yes,
I got an article about it. Yeah, I got an article in the draft. Yeah.
So let's talk 8.5. So tell me where you think, Lou, I heard your take this morning, but Steve and Jarrell and Sam,
go ahead, guys.
Let me hear it. Well, I want to hear from you, Lou. Where do you see this team going? Tell us where.
Well, I kind of played a little bit of the schedule game, and I went through, okay, we're playing NFC East teams. We've got Dallas here. We've got the Giants here. Then we go to Philadelphia. We go to Washington. 3 out of those 4 games are winnable. I think.
Yeah.
And I said 3 out of the 4 AFC West games are winnable because the Broncos suck. They're going to be terrible. They're going to suck. We got the Chargers here, the Chiefs here. They could be upset here. And we go to Las Vegas, which we never really have good games against the Raiders.
Yeah.
But I think we're a better team.
Yeah.
So 3 out of those 4 games are winnable. Can the team win 3 divisional games?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 9 wins.
Yeah.
Now there's 3 games left. You got Jacksonville, probably in London. We go to New Orleans, which they're not that good. We should beat them in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And then we have Miami here. Bring them here late December.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, like I said, those 2 out of those 3 are winnable.
Yeah.
That's 11 wins. That's reasonable. I'm just thinking it's reasonable this team can win 11 games again.
Yeah.
If Nick Chubb and Deshaun Watson don't get hurt, this is a 13-win team easily.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
And we would have beaten Baltimore twice.
Yeah.
Let's hear from the other guys. Steve, what's your take on the 8.5?
I can't believe Vegas had him at 8.5. I'm still stunned by that. Their toughest 3 road games are in Pittsburgh, in Cincinnati, and in Baltimore.
Yeah,
that's it. I mean, you get the better teams in Cleveland.
Yeah,
and like Lou just went through. I mean, I can't. They won 11 games with 5 quarterbacks and 26% of their roster on injuries.
8 of those 11 wins were teams with above 500 records.
Exactly.
So they weren't cupcakes. Just so you know.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So
in the NFL anyway, but
the Vegas over/under on wins. I mean, they had Pittsburgh at 7.5, which I also find hard to believe. I'm not sold on either one of their quarterbacks, but their defense is great. They had, I believe, Baltimore at 11. Have they signed any offensive linemen yet? Have they? They lost their entire defensive coaching staff, and they lost 3 key components to their defense. And, everybody and the Bengals are at 10.5, and they always couch it by saying, well, if Joe Burrow is healthy. Well, and then they say if the Browns are only going to win 8.5, well, Deshaun Watson probably won't be healthy. Wait a minute. Are you looking at the same thing here? I mean, come on. Don't use
agree with you.
Don't use opposite reasoning to make the same argument. That's my – so, I can see the Browns, and I know Sam – he's already predicted them to win the division at 13 games. And I agree with him wholeheartedly. And with Lou, they have the potential to win this division.
Yeah.
Sam, we'll get to you. Let me hear from Jarrell here before I want to get your take on number of wins, and then we'll finish with Sam.
I'm going to say it like this. I think with Vrabel coming in to eyes in his
there you go. I like that. Yep.
You got Jim Schwartz, who is proven to be defensive wizard. Kevin Stefanski, 2-time coach of the year. Even if you just take the pieces, just the players, if you take that out of the equation, I don't think that those 3 guys are going to be below 8.5. I just don't see that, regardless of what the schedule is, regardless of what the division is.
Right. And
I would say that this division actually forces you to be prepared week in and week out. And this year, the schedule is it's strong with the Chiefs coming in. Obviously, you got to play the Bengals 2 times.
Yeah.
I just don't think that a team that's prepared by those guys are going to be that unprepared week in and week out. Because even with the injury last year, they were prepared. So, no,
one game, they were prepared.
That was the DTR start. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
He was started. Yeah. And it showed he wasn't ready.
Yeah.
And if who knows if Watson wasn't hurt and if Nick Chubb wasn't hurt, would that game have been different? But it happens. Stuff happens. It happens all the time.
Sam,
go ahead, Sam.
Lou, I'll come right back to you. Sam, I want to get your. I know you were talking about winning the division and 13 wins. Tell us about that.
I think 8.5 is outrageous, but I do think the strength of. I think there's a lot. There's a lot going for the Browns, right? Don't get me wrong. I think there's a lot that could go wrong that won't reduce us to 8.5. I think the Browns are guaranteed to win at least 10 games. I think 10 is the floor. I think 13 is the ceiling.
Yeah.
But I think they're basing it off of our schedule is a little bit tough. But I think they're basing it off of what if Nick Chubb and Watson and, are like, what if Watson gets hurt again? There's not a whole lot of evidence going that he isn't going to get hurt again because he has been dealing with that. Nick Chubb still is a bit uncertain with how his knee is going to hold up through 18 or 17 full-scale NFL games. There is a lot of unease about some of these players that are very important for the team that I think contributes to that low rating. But I think 8.5 is completely outrageous. I don't think the Browns are going to get anywhere near that. I think we're still going to win 10 to 13 games. I just think they're kind of basing it off of what might go wrong. But I think 13 is very realistic.
I like that, Sam. I think, and Lou, if you want to, I know you have a comment here before I can go to you. I'm just throwing this out because, we've talked about this before. They won 11 games back in 2020. And so it doesn't surprise me that the national media or the Vegas is doing that. And like we've all pointed out, Sam, like, the risks and stuff, but we went backwards after we went forwards. And so maybe a lot of people are thinking that that's going to happen again. That's the lower mark. I agree with all of you here that I think like you said, Sam, I think 10 wins is the floor. And I think we're, but I'm just, based on prior Browns experience or Browns seeing that. But I think we talked about this last week. Lou, you talked about it a little bit last week too. I think we're in a really better spot, and this isn't the same damn old Browns. And we've got all these things. Jarrell, you mentioning, bringing in what's his face,
Vrabel.
Vrabel is just awesome. Like we really have one stellar team, not only with the players but the coaches now. I mean, my gosh, it's really impressive.
If my memory serves me correct, the last time Vrabel and Schwartz were together, they were the number 1 seed. If I remember, if he was there in 20.
That is correct. You are right. Yep. They were.
So, the chemistry is there for them. So I just think if you're just talking about leadership combined with the pieces, 8.5.
And don't forget the changes to the offensive coaches too. Bringing in Dorsey, bringing in changes. It sounds more and more, even though I don't really think it's that big of a deal if Stefanski calls the plays versus Dorsey, but it sounds to me like Dorsey's going to be calling the plays and Stefanski's kind of like growing into the role as a head coach and being more of a CEO type on the sideline, which is fine. I think because look what the changes that Jim Schwartz brought last season. The jump that defense made, could this offense take another jump, a jump with that? If that happens and this defense plays at the same level, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so bad 10 years ago. The movie about the team's turnaround was called Draft Day. Was nothing to do with what was going on the field.
My favorite movies, man.
We have Kevin Costner. We have Kevin. I love the movie. I was in North Carolina, and the theater was filled with Browns fans. But we had Kevin Costner, and it was about the draft was our Super Bowl. That was
and that's what I was talking about. That's the whole concept here. That we're here. We are, and we've got the draft behind us in our background here on our show tonight. But it really is something special. I think we're all anticipating, and many Browns fans are anticipating. Just a really fun year ahead. Now, I want to throw something out, one other little topic, and I know we've touched on this a little bit, and then we're going to go to a break, and we're going to announce the winner of our ball cap that Jarrell's wearing, or an example there when we come back. But I heard a couple other guys on another podcast recently, Brad Ward and Casey. They do their, what is it called? Do anybody know who I'm referring to? Brad Ward and Casey.
I know
Cinnamon.
Brad Ward.
Yeah, Brad. Okay, it's his show. Okay, his show. Maybe you listen to his show, but they were talking about Deshaun Watson again, and I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but Joe Flacco, and they were both saying kind of like it's more fair that the Browns have moved on from Joe Flacco because bringing Joe Flacco in again would have just created a scenario that would have been just awful for the team. And I just don't know if I totally understand or agree. I see what they're trying to say, but it's like these guys are professional athletes, and I don't know if they had brought Joe Flacco back. I don't see it like it would have been this thing where people at training camp would have been going, Joe, Flacco, or whatever, bring like people, they're trying to say that like that would have put more pressure on Deshaun, and it would have made the Browns more worrisome, and that basically they had to get rid of Joe. I just wanted your thoughts on that. I know we've talked about it before, and Joe Flacco's not coming here, obviously, but I just didn't know if I totally agreed with that outtake from both of them. Like, I didn't know why they even kind of talked about it, because
were they? I didn't hear it.
Because you're talking about it.
Yes. Well, I think. Well, I
didn't hear it, so I don't know. Were they talking about it either? Would it be a controversy and to be a problem?
Yeah, they were basically saying that if Joe was here, that it would have created more issues than we needed to, and we needed to be more favorable to Deshaun and do things on his behalf, and that it was in the best interest of the team. And okay, I get that, but I think here's what they did. They started talking about Jameson Winston, and saying how
Captain Crab Legs,
basically saying how they felt like he was just as good as Joe or whatever. Here's the thing: what I wanted to hit on is that no one, I don't know about you guys, but when Joe Flacco came onto the team, I don't think any of us here expected him to do what he did exactly. I know I didn't. And so I don't look at that like, I think it's all just speculation. Then it worked out very nicely for the team.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I just didn't think that I think if Joe Flacco was still on this team, I think that would have been personally, I would have liked to have Joe as the backup just because of what I saw. But again, we also saw him throw 2 pick sixes in the Houston game and lose the playoff game. So
yeah. He's like that. I remember leaving the Rapid Transit after the Bears game and talking with the other fans, and I'm going, how the hell did we win that game against the Bears? I just was like, I mean, pretty much the 14 points from the Bears came from Joe Flacco's arm. That's what happened. So,
exactly.
So but man, when he's hot, but he can get bad too. So he's getting older as well. So I'm not sure they're never going to say what the thinking process or the logic behind not bringing him back was, but
I mean, and Winston, was it Winston or Winston? Am I mixing that up?
Jameis Winston.
Yeah, Winston.
Yeah,
he's had a good. I mean, he was the number 1 pick and all these things, and I mean, I think it's, he in his time he's talked about being on this team. He wants to be a starter, but he also wants to help Deshaun and be there for him. And I think that those are all really good. Good things to say. And I think there's a really strong possibility that Deshaun Watson at some point this season doesn't play a game. His track record doesn't recently suggest that something might happen to him. So,
well, I made the joke about the crab legs. If you remember when he was at Florida State, he got busted stealing crab legs out of Publix or something like that when he's senior.
Is that our friend Sherry? Hello, Sherry. Thank you for tuning in.
Crab legs, yes.
All right, let me just open the floor before we go to a break, because we're going to announce the winner. We're going to talk about the draft here in a little bit. Any other hot topics that I missed this week, Steve or Jarrell or Sam? I know you guys have been...
we now have white face masks.
Yes, yes, I love it.
Number 2, Nick Chubb took a $10 million pay cut on his new contract. The Browns are now sitting at 13.5 in cap space. I think that was a win-win for the team and for Nick Chubb if he plays well.
Yeah,
I think they have a handshake agreement that they'll extend him if he plays well. And Nick Chubb and his agent showed confidence in the front office by taking that $10 million pay cut. And
confidence in Nick Chubb.
Exactly. That boosted my confidence. As Lou was talking earlier, I listened to Kevin Stefanski's 15 minutes, and I'm of the impression that Ken Dorsey is going to call plays. I don't know why. I just got that feeling listening to him. I did.
Yeah. Real quick, I heard that they were talking about a third alternate helmet. Was that just internet BS, or was that actually...
No, that's the NFL is approved. Each team can do a third third helmet because you know why? Because it makes more money for the NFL.
Yes. Well, if you want to talk about that, John, I had my idea, and a few people actually sent me comments and messages about it. Where in the 1950s, when they had the white stripe with the numbers on the side, I love those helmets. I love those helmets. So that's the one I would like to see as the third alternate. What's that? Milt Plum?
Milt Plum played with those, wore those helmets, and they've done that in the past. I like those too, with the little numbers on the side. Those
when your father, right?
Mm-hmm.
When he played, what was the style? I'm trying to go back in time.
Cardiac Kids days. He was 80, wasn't he?
You have that with you?
I got an old Game Day Pro.
Oh, there you go.
Look at that.
Yeah. That's Brian Sipe. Nice.
That was that exact makeup there.
Okay, that's Brian Sipe.
I love those uniforms, man. I love them. That was me. That's me.
Color
Remember the Browns on TV when I was a kid.
Well, and the guys back then, like Brian Sipe, he was a small guy. You know, those big shoulder pads on the players and all that fun stuff.
The 82 strike year. If you remember the 82 strike, I know I'm dating myself. I was in elementary school at Brooklyn. It was Rodone Elementary in Brooklyn, Ohio.
Yeah.
The Brooklyn football stadium was a new football stadium that was built. The Browns practiced there during the strike. So I got to meet Brian Sipe and Doug Deacon and Ozzie Newsome. Bill Cowher was on that Browns team too.
Oh, Bill Cowher, that's right. Yeah.
Hey
guys,
all of them.
Let's pause for a quick break here on the Fanatical Elfz, part of Fans First Sports Network. After the break, we are going to announce the winner of the awesome ball cap there. Jarrell is being our model tonight and showing that off. So
I really like that ball cap. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
We're going to be quiet.
It's a cool hat.
Thank you.
For about 3 seconds here. All of us are going to be really quiet, and we're going to do our commercials. Bye. And we're back. How's everybody doing? Weren't those some great commercials? I know it's so funny. Incredible. You know, sometimes when you listen to Apple or Spotify, where you can find us on the Fanatical Elfz, you'll see that that sometimes the commercials are there and sometimes they're not. It depends on when the show gets pushed out, and sometimes Spotify or Apple, they're either right on time or they're behind in their advertising. So I know some of these guys, when they've done their shows, they'll put in the break for me and I'll put it out there, and then they might listen to it and they'll say, where are the commercials? But hopefully we'll have some commercials coming up. So, okay. So guys, we are giving away this. So from the dog food store here, Jarrell Flint, and just great stuff there. Jarrell, tell everybody again where we can go to find your gear.
Or you can go to www.dogfoodstore, that's spelled DAWG.com, and take you right to it.
Awesome stuff. So Jarrell is, so these hats, we're going to give away the one just like he's wearing tonight. And we got a winner. Everybody, drum roll, please.
I can't make a drum roll without like blowing on my thing.
And the winner of the ball cap, thank you very much. It's Billy Lingrell. It's at Billy Lingrell. It's BILLYLINGREL. He is a Browns fan, loves watching his kids play sports, hunting, and fishing. Congratulations, Billy, on winning the hat. We will be in touch with you here on the Fanatical Elfz and get that mailed out to you. And again, if you didn't win tonight, you can go to Jarrell's dogfoodstore.com and buy one yourself. They're awesome stuff. I mean, just all of his gear, all the things are just tremendous, and we love it. Really just a sharp looking ball cap. So congratulations, Billy, and thanks for tuning in to us here on the Fanatical Elfz. Let's talk about the draft for a couple minutes before we finish up the show here. Draft is a week from now. We're going to have, I know, some Friday night. Lou's going to have his marathon second and third round show that some of us will be joining you. I'll probably pop it on too if you can't make it for Lou's marathon. Yeah. I'm going to probably put out some other additional little snippets here when the Browns do pick. But Browns have two picks on that night, Friday night, right now, 54 and 85. Want your takes? Let's talk first just about the draft in general on Thursday. what you're looking forward, if you're going to watch it Thursday night for the first round, and what your thoughts are on the draft and who you think is going to go in those top tiers and some players that you find intriguing. Let's start with Sam. Sam, is there anybody in that first round that you're looking? I know you follow the Cowboys. You see, you're down there in Houston.
No, I don't. I don't really follow the Cowboys, honestly.
Thank God.
Now,
okay.
I'm going to watch the first round specifically so I can hate on the team that decides to draft Caleb Williams because it's not a good pick. I'm just going to tell you now. He does not look like a very good player. He looks like a good player, but he looks very shaky. I don't know. But I don't know how much I'm going to watch the first round. I think I'm going to maybe just look, see what like teams end up getting who and who like ends up falling who and stuff like that, where like Marvin Harrison ends up going, where all the quarterbacks end up going, stuff like that. But I'm not going to pay explicit attention, like be staring at the TV for 8 hours. But no, I'm going to pay attention a lot for the second and third rounds, though. That's where I'm going to really focus.
Cool. Jarrell, your thoughts on the first day of the draft, or just are you going to be watching it, or what you're looking for in that first part? Jarrell?
Oh, it cut out. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. On my end. Yep.
I will watch it just because I'm curious to see who's going to go number one, top five. The funny thing about the college game for me these days is that, you know, when I was coming up, you would have players that it was like, oh, that guy is clearly different. You know, you see Trojans were playing, and Vince Young with Texas, and the Miami teams, and Maurice Claret.
Oh, Vince Young, yeah.
Even Cam Newton's year, like that's just not as much anymore. And I feel like some of these guys, it's like based on hype, like we brought up Jaden Daniels. I haven't seen it. Like I haven't seen that to be a top five. Again, maybe the standards have changed. So it'll just be interesting to see where these guys go and whether it's hype or whether there was somebody that actually saw something. Because I don't know who really jumps out this year.
Yeah. Steve?
Well, yeah, I'll be watching because we'll be doing a show that night.
That's right.
And I'll have the TV on. I'm just curious. I'm going to be curious. I think Marvin Harrison goes to the Cards. I think the Cardinals. That's pretty much, foregone conclusion. I'm curious as to how many quarterbacks are taken in the first round. Teams always overreach for quarterbacks. I'm also interested to see if this is a down year for running backs. If somebody rolls the dice and takes a running back, two were taken in the first round last year.
Yes,
and Atlanta and Detroit. So I'm curious to see that aha moment, like where everybody goes, "Why did they do that?" I just want to see where that's going to fall. Is it going to be top 10 or is it going to be top 20? I'm kind of curious as what Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and Baltimore do.
What year was it with Tunzel when he had the marijuana gas mask? What year was that? Because he dropped like a rock when that came out.
He did drop like a rock.
Yeah. He's a good tackle. He's a very good left tackle.
He's the only guy that can beat Myles Garrett. And he's been doing it since Ole Miss. So, yeah.
Lou, you got takes on the first night? Are you going to be well? You might be on our show, or
I might be on your show. I'll probably have it on while I watch. I'll keep an eye on see who's because mostly I'm going to be interested in is the next day is like, okay, who's left on the board? Who do I think?
Yeah,
and there's like some intriguing players that could be there at 54 for the Browns.
For sure.
I have like two slotted people I would take at 54 if they're there.
Well, let's talk about that in just a minute here.
Sure.
I want to go around and discuss that because the Browns do have the two picks for right now. And like Lou, you speculated maybe the Browns try to get in that latter part of the third again. So let's talk. I'm going to start with a couple guys first, and you can go out. You guys can go out and share your guys. I'm going to go back to what Steve mentioned earlier. I pulled up on my phone. Let me double check here. So I was running some of these simulated drafts the other day, and one kid that I came up with, I think I wrote about him last year for Dog Pound Daily. They were talking about, draft picks then, and I think he was being considered to come out of the draft, but I think he stayed in college for another year. And the reason I remember this is because I think his dad is on the X. And I remember when I wrote the article, I think his dad commented on one of my articles I wrote. But it's a kid. He's an offensive guard, offensive lineman, Cooper Beebe out of K-State.
Cooper Beebe.
Do you know the name? Cooper Beebe. Beebe. Okay.
No, I don't.
No. Okay. He's being projected to go somewhere in that second to third, fourth round. But if the Browns are looking to make it, instead of going defense, and I know some of us have said they're probably going to go defense. If it's an offensive guard, look him up sometime. Cooper Beebe. I think he stayed in additional years. I think he thought about coming out last year because I haven't gone back and double checked completely, but I remember doing an article about a guy named Coop. I'm pretty sure his name I know his last name was Beebe, and he went to K-State. He's a huge, massive offensive lineman, and he's just got a lot. If you read up about him, he's just solid, just a solid
He's
guy.
22 years old.
Yeah, see, okay. Is he in his fourth year or fifth year?
I just Googled him. I'm here. It looks like.
Is it year 4 for him at K-State?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I think because I think people were looking at him coming out last year, and I don't think he got drafted. And maybe, can you do that? Can you go to the draft and come back, or do you have to? How does that work?
I think once you're eligible, that's it. I think you can't go back.
Well, maybe he went back before.
Well, you can talk about going to the draft as long as you don't hire an agent.
Maybe that's what he did. Because I'm going to go back.
Once you hire an agent,
so I'm taking
going to the draft.
He's 6'3", 322 pounds. That's the size. Just so you go ahead. Go ahead.
So I liked him. There's another kid. I didn't write his name down, but there's a linebacker / edge rusher from. I know I'm sticking with Kansas now. Doesn't mean I know I lived there all these years, but there's another really good linebacker edge guy from Kansas. If you're talking defense, and I can't remember his name right now, but I had his name down for a little bit. So. But I took him off.
I can't either. He had a very good Senior Bowl. I know who I'm talking.
Yeah, you know who I'm talking about.
Kansas or Kansas State?
Kansas. The Jayhawk.
Jayhawks.
And usually you don't get a lot of Jayhawks, that make from the draft. They're not a football powerhouse, but this kid, like you said, Steve, really had a good Senior Bowl.
Was it Taywan Berryhill?
Yeah. No, Berry. No, that's not
Taywan Berryhill. Okay,
that's not it.
I'm just like Cornell Wheeler.
No.
There's a Logan Brantley.
That's
it. I think that's it.
That's him. That's it. I kind of just Googled that.
Logan Brantley. Yeah, Brantley. Take a look at him, Lou, sometime. Tell me but I've seen some film on him. He had a really good season for the Jayhawks. So, but I didn't take him. Who I took was this other guy on defense for my pick 85. I took a guy he's from LSU, last name Wingo. Makai Wingo, Wingo, as my third rounder. Solid defensive tackle. A lot of positives on him when you read up on him. I also on my simulated draft was able to take Michael Hall and pick 156 in this simulated draft.
I was able to grab simulator. That's not a good simulator.
He's not going to make it that far.
Never use that
unless some shit came out the day of the draft that day.
Don't use that simulator again.
I don't think it's
terrible simulator.
Logan Brantley's a freshman, redshirt freshman.
Yeah, it's not Brantley. I know.
Christian Fletcher. There's one last one. Dylan Downing is another one.
All right, Jarrell. Let's go with you, Jarrell. Do you have your favorites at either 54 or both at 54 and 85, or what do you think? Yeah.
I feel like when you're not drafting off of name, for me, you have to draft off of attributes. And what I usually like is height and speed. Mm-hmm. So I don't know where this guy falls in as far as the rankings are concerned, but I'm on the combine site. 6'4" linebacker. He ran a 4.4. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, that's like a monster prototype. So that's kind of what my mentality would be like. What if big safeties, fast safeties, that kind of thing, or big defensive tackles. So that's what I would be thinking with these picks, because I just don't know if you're drafting off of name or height that far down in the draft.
What's his name, by the way?
This guy's name is Peyton Wilson, NC State.
Yeah.
6'4",
Okay.
233. Ran a 4.4. 4.43.
Yeah, I've done a draft simulator, and his name popped up, and yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's good. Very
Yeah.
good.
Very good.
All right.
Very good
Well,
guy. Very good.
Steve,
very
what
good
do you?
player.
Who do you have at 54 and 85? I know you've run these a couple times.
I'm still going to take an offensive lineman, either the kid from Yale. I'm looking to replace Wills in 2025. I need a guy who's going to step in, and you're going to have probably a rookie at left tackle, and you're going to have DeJuan Jones at right tackle, because I think they're going to redo Conklin's contract, and you're going to have two guys on rookie contracts on your offensive line. That just helps tremendously with the salary cap. And at 85, I could see him trading down. Also, a late round pick, somebody that really caught my eye. He he went to the University of British Columbia. He's an offensive tackle, Giovanni Manu. He is
You've all mentioned him.
6'8", 352 pounds, and he ran a 4.96.
That's a prototype right there. That's a prototype.
Bingo. That's what Jarrell is talking about.
All I think about when you say that is the guy from Rocky and Rocky 4 or Rocky, that movie with the Russian,
But could you see pass rushers? They'd be standing there going, give me a minute. They get tired of trying to run around DeJuan Jones and this guy.
I know I talk too much, but this is what I'm here to do. Last night, I watched the final drive when Browns beat the Steelers at home.
Yeah.
When they drove down the field, DTR looked his best. Okay.
Yes.
I purposely kept an eye on DeJuan Jones against TJ Watt. TJ Watt couldn't do anything against him.
Yeah.
Couldn't.
Oh, yeah.
Couldn't get around him. DeJuan Jones just pancaked him every time.
It's funny you mentioned that. I rewatched that game last week.
I rewatched just the final drive when they won and they kicked the field goal and that was it. That was because I remember I was at that game. But I wasn't paying attention to one specific player or anything. I'm just watching the game. It's a different thing. But that guy's that's DeJuan Jones size. Tackle.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, Lou.
He needs a little development, but give him a year and
Oh, perfect.
Lou, who do you like?
Okay, I don't know if he's going to be there at 54. Is Edgerrin Cooper, the linebacker from Texas?
I wrote about him too. Yeah, I like.
I wrote about him. I like him. If he's going to be there at 54, they're running up to the podium to take him. Him and JOK.
You don't think he's going to be there at 85 still? I think he's going to. I don't know. I
don't think he'll be there at 85.
He's out of Texas A&M, Luke.
Texas A&M linebacker. I heard this. I heard the Steelers love him. That's what I heard.
Oh, see, that's what's going to happen.
And he had a visit with the Browns. So
he did. Yeah. He did have a visit with the Browns. Yeah, and another guy I think would be interesting if Cooper's not there is the defensive tackle from Florida State, Braden Fiske.
God, he is all over every draft board.
Yeah,
I did a simulator and he was there at 54, and I immediately took him. I don't know what's up with him. Yeah,
I don't know.
You got to ask.
Or not.
You got to ask why did he drop so far?
Yeah, and did you want me to go the third round too? The 85th.
Yeah.
The left tackle from Yale, Amingaji.
Yeah, that's the same one you're talking about, Steve.
Yeah, if he falls down to there, they will take him in a heartbeat.
The Browns love him, from what I heard.
Yeah,
that's
Sam. Let's run to you real quick. 54 and 85.
T'Vondre Sweat the second, or no, he's not second. T'Vondre Sweat is definitely someone. I had him falling to the third round in my mock draft.
Yeah.
Ooh, wow.
I don't think that's going to happen, but T'Vondre Sweat is amazing. I would totally go for T'Vondre Sweat if he falls that to just the second round. I think T'Vondre Sweat is amazing, but 85, I feel like they're going to go offensive tackle. There's Dominic Pooney from Kansas, who is a pretty good player. I think he could be interesting. I think they're going to definitely go defensive tackle and offensive tackle for those first two. I think I think they want to get rid of Jedrick Wills and figure out something else there. It doesn't really matter which two. I think it's going to be defensive and offensive tackle for 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can see okay, so I want to finish and then get your final takes too. But I want to get a real quick, if you want to participate in this, past Browns draft picks, maybe one that you've really loved, and maybe one that was a real bust. We probably have some of the same ones, but let's go around the room
that's
here.
easy.
Lou, let's start with you first. Either a good one or a bust or both. I mean, we want to hear from you on both ends.
A good one or bust, meaning past Browns picks?
Well, yeah, past Browns picks, one that was good and one that was lousy.
The worst one in the last 25 years was Justin Gilbert. The number 7 overall pick. He never played it down for us. Nobody even met with the coaches or met with them, and they wasted the number 7 overall pick on this guy. That was a horrible pick. My favorite draft pick, to be honest with you, it's going to be crazy, but the second round pick we used on Nick Chubb. I mean, God, that was, no doubt about it. That was a 2018 second round. That draft got us Denzel Ward and Nick Chubb. I actually I have an article that's dropping tomorrow morning about when did the turnaround start. And I said, we hit rock bottom 2016 and 17, the drafting of Myles Garrett and David Njoku, Denzel Ward, Nick Chubb. Then in 2020, you had Greg Newsome.
Well, wait a second. And Baker, right?
Well, Baker was, but yeah, Baker, he's not with us now. So that's why.
No, right. Okay. I got you.
So that's why, that's why I
said.
But
I will, there's some people,
these players still.
That were talking earlier. I mean, I know I'm getting off a little topic here, but it was somebody on social media and the X was throwing out the whole 2018 first win when the Browns played the Jets on that. And I think, Lou, you and I both were there in person, and we've talked about this on this show in past episodes. It's one of those memories that I will never forget. Just tremendous energy in that stadium, like nothing that we had seen in so many years. It was really exciting. So
yeah, Cleveland is a sleeping giant. Cleveland is.
Steve, bust and a good one.
Well, if you want to go historically bad, Powell.
Who?
Craig
Powell?
Craig. Ohio. Bill Belichick.
That was 95. That was 95. Yeah.
That was a long time ago. The offensive lineman he wanted to take, the Titans traded up and took him, and he panicked. Best pick, JOK. I had him in my draft going with the Browns' first pick. And when they passed on him, I thought, oh, somebody's going to scoop him up. And then he just kept. And then second round, I'm going, let's go get him, Browns. And they traded down and still got him. I was beside.
Well, the energy. I was there too. I happened. That was the night that I was down at the draft.
In Cleveland.
Yeah, it was tremendous too, because I remember, like you said, Steve, there were some things that were happening that night, and the fact that he fell to Cleveland, it was so
in the second round, crazy. And God, he was so good as here at North. I mean, I'm here going, oh, Browns, let me have that player, please, please.
Yeah. Well, very good. Okay, and we have Steve, another Steve here. Hemrick, thanks for watching the show too, Steve. Really appreciate the comments tonight.
His name is Steve, and he spells it right.
Council was the 2016 draft. He's going to refrain back to.
Yes, okay. What my question was with the guess on this thing. I
remember that. Jarrell, draft picks, bust and a good one.
Bust. I know Gilbert was already mentioned. For me, it's either Manziel or Brady Quinn. Those would probably be
good ones. Good ones.
And then my personal favorite would be, outside of my dad, of course, but I would say Josh Gordon.
Josh Gordon, yeah.
Josh Gordon.
Supplemental draft,
could you imagine if you had a Josh Gordon now?
Oh.
I still go back and watch Josh Gordon highlights sometimes because
it's fantastic.
He was, and that's where, again, when you're talking about a receiver, you're good if it doesn't, whoever's throwing you the ball, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Smoking everybody, single coverage, double coverage, it didn't matter. He was the truth. I hate that the weed thing kind of derailed.
It wouldn't be a big deal today. That's the crazy.
Right.
It would be nothing today. They wouldn't even care.
That's a good choice. I like those.
Yeah, good.
Sam, let's finish with you. A bust and a good one.
That's pretty generic, but I think Johnny Manziel's a pretty big bust.
Yeah.
He was something that was going to be he was like super hyped, and then he just completely fell flat.
Yes.
But I think like there's been a lot of busts for the draft for the Browns, unfortunately. It's kind of sucks, but like I feel like Johnny Manziel is one of the bigger ones because he was unbelievably hyped up, and then he just couldn't get anything done. But I think I'm gonna have to go with for my favorite. I think I'm gonna have to agree with Nick Chubb. I think Nick Chubb was a really, really good pick. I think that was something that really set the Browns on a good course onto something that we could win with. I think that one was probably my favorite.
Well, and Myles Garrett, I mean, obviously what he's done since
no
coming
brainer
to the team, you can't forget, and Denzel Ward and some of these guys that are here. I'm glad that the Browns took a chance on a couple of these Buckeyes last year, and I'd like to see them invest another pick on a Buckeye just because I don't think you can go wrong. I think it's a great college, and they're pro ready down there. So okay, final thoughts before we leave you guys. Thank you for all 903 of you have hopped on here and there. I know the numbers keep going up because you're hopping on, you're watching us here on the X, on Facebook, on these different resources. Thank you so much. Make sure you tune into us too. If you have Apple or Spotify or iHeartRadio, subscribe to us. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and like on my phone, like you guys' phones, it'll pop up if you subscribe to us, and then you'll never miss a show. You'll come on your phone and say, oh, here's the latest episode of the Fanatical Elves. There's Steve's show, the Dog Pound South show, or Jarrell's show, the Dog Radio show. Sam with his Browns breakdowns, Lou with his Burning River Browns talk every day. Lou's bringing his show, good 10-minute, 5-minute conversation. Get you all psyched for thinking Browns. I mean, every day. I mean, Browns fans, we all know this. We live and breathe Browns. We love investing, and that's why we're part of this Fanatical Elfz Network. We're going to continue to give giveaways, so stay tuned to us. Tell other people about our network so that we can give away more free stuff, man. It's free. So thank you.
Free.
Final takes. Sam, let's listen to your final take. Anything going on that you want that we haven't shared tonight?
No, not really. I think we've covered a lot of things. I think the draft is going to be fun. I think this is going to be I feel like a lot of people, unfortunately, though, are going to kind of overlook the draft because they're just excited to get back to the season because the Browns made the playoffs and we're somewhat competitive in that Houston game. A lot of things went wrong, but we were really close to being able to like the tides could have turned immediately. There was like 1 or 2 points in that game where anything could have completely changed the whole game. But I think a lot of people are going to overlook how important this is for the Browns right now because they're just going to be like, hey, we made this playoffs. I want to watch another, I want to watch the season again. I'm excited. Yeah. And they're going to kind of overlook the draft and just kind of be like, whatever season, woohoo. And I think they're going to miss out on some really good players that I think are going to definitely be able to end their way up into the Cleveland area. Yeah.
I love that. I like, you're stressing the importance of this draft. And I think I agree with some of that, what you just said there, Sam. I think it'll be fun to watch too. Jarrell, final thoughts?
I'm happy that the white face masks are back. They should have never left. What I would like to see, this probably would never happen, but if they ever did, like a throwback week, I'd like to see the long sleeve Jim Brown versions come back. I think that would be phenomenal to see.
Oh, I like that.
That would be my youth.
Yeah. You mean like the 3/4 cut shirts that they would wear?
Yeah.
Wow,
those were the days.
That would be awesome. Steve, final thoughts?
Well, first of all, Steve, he could have had the best pick in the same draft, Joe Thomas, Colt McCoy, because they were taken in the same draft. I really appreciate the Browns doing the white face mask. Now we got a new hat. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Buy all new apparel face mask.
Yes.
Final thoughts. I'm looking forward to the draft as I always do. I'm people who love the Knicks. I'm a draftaholic. Hi, my name's Steve. I'm a draftaholic, and I'll have my fun out next week. I've already done 5. That's how much I like it. I'll do another article for Fans First, and it's intriguing. I can't wait to see what happens Friday and especially Saturday.
Watch all of all these guys too write for different periodicals, but a lot of us write for Fans First, so check those out too. We bring those to you on a daily basis. fansfirstsports.com, I think, is the website. Lou, final thoughts tonight before we leave?
Well, I'll tell you, it's just having a week of just all the players being in town and coaches being in town and just starting out. I feel a genuine excitement about the 2024 season. And I felt it before. I've been there before, like in 08 after the 07 season, 2021 after 2020. This feels different. I'm just saying it just feels different. Maybe I'm being overly optimistic. Maybe I'm not. I think this is going to be a fun year.
Do you think that, like, in final, thoughts here from me, like, I think too, part of that is this drama, even after the 2020 season. You think about some of these other players that were part of that organization then, and that's something that we're not seeing. We're seeing a real commitment by a variety of sources, from Andrey Berry to the players. Everyone seems to be in step, in sync, talking the same conversation and moving forward. And I think that's where maybe that feeling is coming. That's different, and a lot of optimism moving forward. Everybody, thank you for joining us here on the Fanatical Elves tonight. Lou will have his Friday night show tomorrow night. The rest of these
tomorrow
guys,
morning. I'll be on tomorrow morning.
Yep. So the rest of them will be bringing their other shows, the Browns breakdowns, the Dog Radio, Dog Pound South shows. We also have the Browns Blitz with Rod Bloom, who's not here tonight. He'll be bringing his show as well. Guys, take care. Thank you so much for joining us, and go Browns.
Good night, everybody.
Browns.
I don't have anything to point to Browns. Woo, Browns.
Browns.
Where's
Go Rangers. Ha ha ha. Rangers.
Rangers.
Thank you, 965 people tuning in tonight. Keep coming back. We need to double that next week.